All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television show in the history of our universe and all the other multiverses combined. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today we're going to be reviewing, or at least I'm going to do my best attempt at reviewing, The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu. I don't have any idea how to pronounce that name, so if I've butchered it, I apologize. In fact, we're going to be talking about a lot of different characters in this book that have names that are unpronounceable to me. I'm going to do the best I can and try not to offend anybody with how badly I butcher the whole thing. Anyway, this is a Hugo Award-winning novel, science fiction novel from, maybe 10 years or so ago. I can't remember when it came out. 2004 is when it came out. I think. I think it's 2004. Didn't get real popular in America, though, till about 10, maybe 8, 7, maybe 5 years ago. Anyway, let's talk about the cover first, because I love graphic design and cover illustrations. And I think this one is dynamite. I really like this cover illustration. It is by the illustrator Stephen Martineri, and that illustrator does a lot of great science fiction and fantasy book covers. You'd recognize his work on a lot of famous books, and it's a great scene from the novel. And so that's the cover. It's got a nice, wrap around deal. It's just a sharp looking book. I like it. So this was originally written in Chinese, translated. It was translated by Ken Liu, who is the author of The Grace of Kings, among other books. So, Ken, I've got them around here somewhere. I will see if I can pull one down from the shelf. It's too high up. It's just too high up. Just trust me. Ken Liu is a great writer in and of his own right, and he translated this beautifully. I liked the translation. I usually do not read foreign books translated into English. I just usually don't. But I made an exception here. And I'm glad I did, because this book was seriously mind-blowing, and it just, I don't even know if I could, my review is not going to even do justice to just how wild this thing is. Just with its ideas and its grand scope of ideas and all of that. But anyway, let's try. 1967, the prologue. It's about the Cultural Revolution in China, which happened in the 60s, and the Red Guards and all that. And there's the Yi family. And we've got Zatia, he's a physicist, he's a professor. Shaolin is his wife. He's got two daughters, Wenji and Wengzhu. Wengzhu is one of the Red Guards. She is, and anyway, that sets it up. It's a very violent beginning, actually. It's Cultural Revolution. It's violent. It's very totalitarian government, communist government raining down terror onto protesters type violence. Some parts of it are hard to read, but it sets up a very tense beginning. And then we jump up to the year 2004 when this is written. So then we jump up to present day, which would be 2004 when this is written, and we get to know another cast of characters that are loosely tied to the Yi family that we met in the prologue. We get to know Yang Dong, who is a string theorist, the daughter of Wenji Yi, one of the main characters from the prologue, and she's like investigating different things. We've got Ding Yi, who is the boyfriend of Yang Dong, and he's also a physicist. And they are involved in some stuff, and I can't really explain what they're involved in without just giving away. It's just more, you should read the book to discover the science that they are involved in, because that's 100% of the fun of this book, is to just hear these different characters discuss science and theory back and forth. Wang Mao, he's a nanomaterialist. He's a scientist and researcher and an amateur photographer. And this is where things get interesting, is with Wang Mao's amateur photography, where just things in the world that we're reading about just don't seem quite right. Especially since he's not using digital photography. He is using the old 35 millimeter, put the roll of film in, take the roll of film out, and develop it in one of those old red lit development rooms. And things just start to tilt slightly weird at that point when we start following Wang Mao around. And it's almost like we're starting to realize that physics, as we know it, are all wrong. Might not have ever existed as we thought that they did. And there's a police officer, Shi Quang, who kind of maybe knows the mysteries behind all of this. Like the police are keeping secrets. They know something earth-shattering about what Wang Mao is discovering with his camera, what the other scientists are discovering in their work, and just the Red Guard and sort of the leftovers of this cultural revolution. And there's a lot of virtual reality. And alien invasion. So, I will be honest, well, the virtual reality, this is a scene painted directly from the virtual reality world, which is called Three Body. The virtual reality world that some of the characters venture into in this story is called the Three Body. And this is a scene from that virtual reality world. Now, this is also about people who study the stars looking for extraterrestrial life. And there was a passage that I read on page 179. If I can find it quickly, I'll read it to you, because I really, really like this passage, and I think it sums up the essence of what this book is about. Okay, so one of the characters is one of those SETI people that study the stars for extraterrestrial life. Okay, and this is a quote from this character. "The search for extraterrestrial intelligence is a unique discipline. It has a profound influence on the researcher's perspective on life. In the dead of night, I could hear in my headphones the lifeless noise of the universe. The noise was faint but constant, more eternal than the stars. Sometimes I thought it sounded like the endless winter winds of the greater Cixin Mountains. I felt so cold then, and the loneliness was indescribable. From time to time, I would gaze up at the stars after a night shift and think that they looked like a glowing desert, and I myself was a poor child abandoned in that desert. I thought that life was truly an accident among accidents in the universe. The universe was an empty palace, and humankind the only ant in the center of that palace. This kind of thinking infused the second half of my life with a conflicted mentality. Sometimes I thought life was precious, and everything was so important, but other times I thought humans were insignificant, and nothing was worthwhile. Anyway, my life passed day after day, accompanied by this strange feeling, and before I knew it, I had grown old." So there's a man that has studied the stars for extraterrestrial life his entire life, and he's never felt more lonely in the universe by doing that. And this essentially is a first contact story. It's just so well written and or translated by Cixin Liu. It's so well done that I just was engaged with every conversation each character was having with another, whether it was about physics or nanotechnology or virtual reality or any of those things, string theory, all of the stuff that is just crammed into this book with such eloquence and delivered to us almost spoon-fed so we can kind of understand it as best as we can. I mean, I'm not a scientist, so a lot of it was above me. I got to admit, a lot of it was above me. But I was fascinated by it because I knew that it was above me, that it was written by a genius that is genius level more genius than I am, if there's such a thing. But anyway, I will read the brief jacket copy because it gives a pretty good description of what the book is about. Anyway, let me just read it because that's the best description we can get, because I think I butchered everything I've said prior to this. Okay. A secret military group sends signals into space in hopes of establishing contact with aliens, and succeeds. Picking up their signal is an alien civilization on the brink of destruction who now readies to invade Earth. News of the coming invasion divides humanity like never before. Some want to help the superior beings take over the world they see as corrupt. Others prepare to fight the invasion at all costs. In a sense, that is the overall arcing theme of the book. However, all of that I read is almost in the background to all of the other scientific things that we're discussing, and all the scientific possibilities, and all of the things that we knew about physics that may not actually be true. I was actually really quite taken with this book. There were a few things that I didn't care for, and I never like books that jump back and forth in time. From this year to then this year, then back to here. That's a drawback for me, and this book does some of that. So, I mean, I can't give it a full 10 out of 10 because I was kind of irritated every time, and I didn't like that story structure too much. But that being said, from start to finish, I soaked in every word. So I'm gonna give this a solid 9 out of 10, and I'm super excited to read the 2 books that follow this one because it is book 1 of a trilogy. And that is my review.